Hello and welcome to episode 25 of 5 of the Weekly Show with 5 hot wings and even hotter questions. Wait, what?
Oh, no wings
No,
and less questions.
I got the scripts mixed up. Hold on a second.
Oh no.
Oh, there it is. There it is. Yeah, I'm once again back to doing point tasks like a general run in the SBA, and again making his triumphant return from the Swiss Alps. No correction. Don't correct me there. Is Danger Golding.
Hi, I'm Danger Golding, head of media and various record holder.
Can you name one record, please?
Most points scored over Kelsier.
Oh, big bar there.
Yeah, that was possibly the how would you say it? The most untitled title I've ever heard anyone give.
The most untitled title.
Yeah, especially like you have a better resume, and then you went with just look who scored more points
Well, I have to
against
go.
Kelsey.
All right then. Number 2 all-time points scored. Number 1 points scored in the game. Number 1 points scored in the season.
Excellent.
One-time SBA champion.
Well, that's not necessarily a record, is it? But yeah, whatever. Speaking of Kelsier, it's Kelsier here on the podcast. Say hello to the people watching and listening.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kelsier, the SBDL commissioner and the guy with like 6 different jobs in this league that hates Danger so much for scoring 86.
It's part of the crumbling board.
Yeah, but major part of the crumbling BOD.
All right. So since we're gonna forego the a new modern podcast format, which is still kind of pending finalization and other fine tuning, we're just gonna stick with 5 of the week. So we're gonna pick 5 topics. No hot wings, no nothing. Like I said earlier, I got the actual script in front of me right now. The hottest topic right now, as it's Sunday of the first week, is predictions and games. So we're gonna take a look at how you guys have prepared, what teams you have picked, who do you think are the front runners for SBA first team, all SBA first team. So, right off the top of your head, who do you have as the front runner for SBA most valuable player?
I think I've got Marcus Alexander for my predictions.
That would be the other way around. Yes, Alexander Marcus.
Alexander Marcus. The man has 2 first names.
Yes.
Like, you gotta pick one, go with it. But yeah, to be honest, I've been away from the SBA. I haven't posted much in the last like 3 weeks, so I don't really know what's going on.
Well, it's a good choice nonetheless. What about you, Kelsier?
I actually have the same choice penciled in. I've got Alexander Marcus, former Quad City legend. I think he's just primed for a breakout year on that roster, and I think he's going to carry a lot of weight in the league this year.
Will that work to his disadvantage though? If you're just if it's solely on you, the success or well, what I'm trying to say is if you're the only good player on your team, obviously the Vice have a few good players, but if you're clearly the best player on your team and everything's on your shoulders, has that ever worked in anyone's disadvantage in awards voting or?
I think the argument's been brought up a few times in award voting where like player number 1, 30 usage and was just the only player on his team putting up inflated numbers. But I don't think it's too much of a disadvantage for somebody to have to do that.
As long as you're maybe like a top 6 team, maybe I'd say you've still got like it's going to come down mostly to your numbers for winning like MVP awards and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think final placement, your final record as a team is going to have an impact. I don't think you're going to see somebody finish outside of the playoffs and have a fantastic MVP resume.
No, and I would say, I mean, unless you're putting up like a hell of a season, I mean, no matter what season you put up, I feel you still need to be like at least top half of the playoff brackets to make a real case for any awards.
Yeah, I think Marcus has the highest APE of any player in the SBA this season, so it's
Yeah, he's earned like a madman. He's 100 ahead of Goo
yeah.
and like TJ and Kerm, who are all like pretty good earners.
Mm,
Engine as well.
yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah,
that class
he's
is,
definitely earned his spot up there at the top.
I don't know how much he's I don't know how much he's banking. He hasn't got much banked either. He's
No.
got 42.
Yeah, but
He's
where I was going with this is that even though if the team would be worse off, then it's proven that you're the talent, like an elite talent, when you have 1,600 applied TP on your player. Like it's hard to disassociate the player just based on, oh well, they only had 43 wins. There's no way he would have been good. Like he's got no value. Obviously, if the team's record was low, win record was even lower than a like a bona fide home court team or so forth, then it would just in traditional real media conversation, it just boosts the uh, like the concept of most valuable if you raise the floor of the team higher instead of just pushing the ceiling even higher. So yeah, it
Yeah,
kind of depends on what you have each year. Since I've been on the other side of this argument as well, with my first player back in the day when I just joined a shitty team instead of a real, well, they were good but not that good, and didn't even get a All SBA place, even though I was the top AP player in the league at that time. So it's
what?
difficult sometimes.
What? JJ Harcourt.
Yes, in Philadelphia.
You won 2 MVPs, didn't you?
No.
Just the one.
Yes.
Uh,
I thought you won both.
Yeah, for some reason I thought you repeated.
No.
So that's the MVP arguments. What we got for question number 2?
Well, I'm just gonna quickly say go by and say that I actually have Grant Thompson of the Houston Ravens as my predicted MVP of the league. Grant Thompson is not necessarily on sole talent on par with Marcus, but it's the statistical profile and performance over the season that's gonna decide it in the end. And I think Thompson is due for some a little bump in rebounding and blocks from the first 19-20 games they've played so far this season, after having good numbers in the past few seasons and improving the attributes slightly, to the best of my knowledge. And yeah, with the Houston Ravens of season 57, there's not going to be any disagreement on, oh, if the team was any better or he's carrying the side or whatever, because they're looking like a top 2, top 3 team at the least. But yeah,
I think it's
Mhm.
I think it's time that the Ravens are gonna go back to winning again.
Well,
After what probably, I mean, you could definitely call this a drought for the Ravens, considering their success. 3 seasons without even making it to the finals is about as much of a drought as the Ravens have had ever, pretty much.
well, since we've been here
And
to see them, yeah.
it's the longest time they haven't been in a final since season, what's that?
29?
39?
What?
39.
A long time.
No, yeah, not 29. 39. Yes.
Yeah, because the index is essentially like 11 seasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
Is it 9?
Yeah.
11.
Yeah.
So S49 was the last time. Oh no, because they reached it in
What?
S.
Can you not count or what?
So S37. S37 was the last time.
They've had
Or
a
the longest
drought
drought.
this long. Yes. Yes. All right. So quickly, we're just gonna also do the same thing for the SPDL because this is an all-inclusive podcast. Have you guys already filled out your predictions for the season?
I have not, but I have mine kind of ready to go. But I wanted to spend my day today doing a little bit more digging in the index and see what was going on.
I think I copied Coog for his predictions. So
Oh no.
no one else was there yet. So I think I just copied someone else. I don't really know what's going on in SBADL right now.
I think I went with Joe Young, which is the popular pick, and I actually tried to do some creative thinking on it, but just based on the amount of TPE, how spread out they were as a sort of a two-way player right now, and then the opportunity that's handed there. I think Joe Young has the best position to like have the stat line and general performance of a league MVP, but I also think like what's on the screen right now on the stream. Then well, this is bad. I shouldn't be talking about what's on the stream because I don't have the same thing on the recording. But anyways, there's a lot of players high in TP already, but they
Leon London Tomatoes recreate. I'd go a shout out. He's 23 points per game, 7.5 rebounds, 6.5 assists, like 1.5 steals and blocks. He could be a good shout for MVP.
yeah, Lundell and also Bobby's player some sort of buckets. I can't remember which kind of buckets they were.
Bumpy
Bumpy,
buckets.
bumpy, yes,
Bumpy buckets.
yeah.
Good old Bobby Bumpy Buckets.
Yeah, I also had those two in consideration, but yeah, just based on the spreading out of the attributes and opportunity, I went with Joe Young. But who do you think is likely to win it then, Kelsier?
Um,
Suppose Danger is
so,
not up to snuff with the
I
SPDL.
think
so
I
early
like
on in
Kelsier.
the season. Yeah, it's so early on in the season. Right now, just like you're pointing out, Joe Young's got his attributes kind of spread out real well. He's got a good opportunity in Huachinango to succeed and put up those stats. I think he's clear front runner right now. I would not be surprised to see Bumpy Buckets or even a Ezekiel Bridges Jr. pop up in the awards voting, but I think it's Joe Young's award to lose this year.
Yes. All right. With that, we're gonna go to our topic number 2.5. Suppose that was part of one and part of two with the SBA and SBDL talk. Um, a lot of the prediction data so far this season shows that the Houston Ravens are favorites for both the champion and the runner-up. What do you think about this? What do you think of this strategy of using predictions for selecting one bona fide finalist type of team and getting at least one of the two TP available in predictions? And do you guys think Houston has what it takes to be a champion this season? I'll go with Kelsier first.
Well, I mean, I've done the same thing every year too. With you select who you think is going to be in the finals, pick them for both. It's just the smart system of I'm guaranteed at least one TPE. Whereas if I get the champions wrong and I pick the runner-up wrong, I don't get anything.
Yeah.
So I think it's just hedging, and it's this nice, safe way to say I'm getting at least one TPE, unless for the past 3 seasons you've put Houston in there and then you haven't gotten any. Um, I think right now I am still hesitant to say Houston's not going to win, not going to be in the finals. I keep expecting them every season to go there, and I've been wrong for 3 years. So, but Charlotte and Toronto, and now Miami, being Miami has been, all three of those teams could just upset the entire bracket. You know what I mean? Um, I think right now I've got Houston winning it, and I've got either Charlotte or Toronto as runner-up.
Hmm. What about you then, Danger?
I mean, Ravens are back at full strength. They've got another really good team and the best coach or the best GM
Hmm.
Is he
that
the
the
best or is he
SBA
the
has
hardest
seen.
working?
That's a tough one, you know. Um, they've got a really good squad, 6-man deep. I think it's Shock
Yes.
Freak PG.
Yes.
I
But
believe
anyway,
Shock is a freak, yes.
but as we all know, Freak PGs are pretty damn good right now. And having a 6-man roster, even with the cap this low, is always going to be a really good, strong sign. So yeah, I'd be hard pressed to say that Ravens aren't the favourites, but we have seen teams like Shockham and a team that I wouldn't rule out are the Rail because they've seemed to perform really well in the playoffs the past few years. Um,
Yeah,
so
the
I
Rail are
could,
definitely like that dark horse team every season.
I mean, obviously reaching the finals 3 seasons ago, winning it 2 seasons ago. So I definitely wouldn't count the Rail out.
Yeah, I think the Rail have some uh, odd qualities to them, since to my knowledge they're not um, gone entirely too different come playoff time. Like always, there's some changes here and there, but it's not like they've been tanking their strategies throughout the year to get some sort of a better seeding or whatever. Obviously, everyone wants to have as many wins as possible. Typically, if you're a contending team, that's just the way it goes for pride or whatever. But they really seem to kick on in the playoffs, and if they finish in the sort of around the bye round win margin, even with the first round of games, they could be in for a finals spot themselves too. But
They've also,
Yeah, they've got the star power to do it for sure.
yeah,
yeah, they've arguably got the best 1-2 punch in the league with Creamy Biggums and OV4. They're the two top 10 AP players, only rivaled by the Brooklyn pair of Jack Ryan and Michael Wallace Free. In fact, this Brooklyn core has been quite interesting, but you'd have to say compared to how Brooklyn have fared in the past, it's been a bit of a disappointment.
yeah,
They
Yeah, I would say
because
I would agree with
I
that.
remember because I remember when this core got drafted, and a lot of them got drafted in the same year together by Brooklyn, and they haven't really made much noise in the playoffs in their entire tenure here.
I don't think the team they have right now has more than two players they drafted any longer with Wallace and Ryan, because they went through the phase of having their super homegrown stars, and then when it
Yeah.
didn't cut it, then they had Sharp and whoever else last season
Yeah,
from
yeah,
from free agency, and then now it's another revolution
yeah,
in the
yeah. It's
formation.
Ryan and Wallace that have come in. They picked up Alex Garner from Pittsburgh and
Free
the
agency, yeah.
Fairchild, who's on his last sort of legs, but that veteran presence might help them in the playoffs.
Fairchild has been performing well so far this season, though, so it's
Yeah, he's
it's
Yeah,
been
I
been a
mean
doing well.
surprise to me.
he's obviously going to take a step back, but I don't think he's going to be falling off a cliff this season.
Statistically, he's actually doing better in literally every stat so far this season. He's averaging more points, more boards, more assists, less turnovers, more steals and blocks. He's very slightly down on shooting efficiency, but he's up across literally everything else, which is a bit of a surprise to see.
Fairchild hasn't ever been a especially super efficient player, only having a 6.61 true shooting in his final prime season. But the fall from 6.61 to 6.42 true shooting is not it's not even something you'd think if how much AP is gone off him. It's like 600. That's a
Uh, He's lost 500 APE.
Yeah, that's a big drop in
Yeah.
APE, but not significant enough to turn down the true shooting, which is or turn down the efficiency to a real like a sort of a wasted regressing
Yeah,
player.
he's not going to be hurting his team offensively.
No, but
No, definitely not.
just to return to the question we actually had, do you guys think it should be allowed that you can pick the champion and runner up as the same team, or is like it's not that big of a difference because it's just one TP per season theoretically? But
Yeah, I think you should be allowed to do that. It's just making the risk, you know.
yeah, safe
You,
hedging.
it's
Yeah.
maybe safer hedging, but you also risk getting 0. So
Yeah, it's. I think that's the reason why we've never really brought it up as something to dismiss. It looks a little silly when you look at the data and you go, oh, everybody picks Houston every year for runner-up and champion, but a lot of people lately have been missing out on at least one TPE or two TPE because they did that.
Mm.
So it's that kind of boomer bust that makes it not really cheating the system. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it was more guaranteed, if it was more of a guarantee that you were going to get TPE out of it, then we'd probably look to change that system. But as it is, I don't have any problems.
Yeah. All right.
and it's one TP a system.
Yeah.
It's one
Yeah.
TP. It's not much.
Yeah. It's not
Yeah,
like
I
go
also
do-
don't care about one TPE.
yeah.
You could go do one of the affiliate checks if you wanted. One TP.
All right. So for question number 3, we have a very close and personal interest in this one. Seeing Joe Cooper at the top of the points per game standings, this 1/4 through the season, and Jeremy Berry already falling down to 5th, down by 4.6 points per game so far. Are you all concerned about the trajectory that Joe Cooper's career numbers seem to be on with this weird sort of resurgence now that he's also kind of gone the let me just get on a shitty team route, although in year is it 11 or 12 instead of year 6?
He's
He's 12.
on 12.
Yeah. So are you at all
You know,
concerned with this?
I just think it's a disgrace that these players would go to these teams with not much talent on, just a stat pad, really. I just, I think it's a real shame for Cooper. Really undermines the sport.
Formerly a man of honor, Joe Cooper.
It's a disgrace to the sport. He should be kicked out for doing something like that.
You know what? I agree. Both players who have historically done that to great success, both players should be barred from the league immediately. I said Joe Cooper and Jeremy Beremy should both be out.
Matthew's already retired. You can't kick him out just because he was tanking on Milwaukee for years.
Yes. So at the end of the day, I fear that the all-time scoring list of the SBA is going to be full of asterisks, which it just comes with the territory, I guess. Cheap bastards going whichever way they please just to get a higher number and a sweet serotonin kick is not to my tastes as a competitor. But
I mean, career like all-time totals are always just going to be skewed to whoever's played long.
yes,
rather than whoever's actually a good player in their like prime. Like
Yeah, nobody was ever going to contend with the scoring record in year 8.
like
Yeah.
Right? You weren't going to be that career scorer early.
yeah. But it takes a lot of preparation, though, especially in Cooper's case. I think I've heard about this plan to prepare for this, like for like eight or 9 seasons for now.
Cooper had about 200 TP banked in like year 8. He's been banking for ages.
No, I think
And
it was well
been
more
very
than
prepared
200.
for this mission.
Yeah.
I don't remember what he had at year 8 that he was banking, but he's been planning on this for a very long time.
He had about 400. He had about 250 banked, I think.
Yeah, and with all the money, yeah, then it's more, yeah.
And both me and him have got a ton of money stacked up in our like cash reserves.
So
Although it looks
how
like
you found somebody to give you a max, but
it looks like Cooper's spent most of his bank TPE now, so he's sitting at 745. I don't know how much money he spent. Oh, he spent all his money actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just bought. Yeah, he bought four. He bought 4 lots of Shane Banks trainings this past off season. He really
Yeah.
splashed the cash.
You concerned that he's
28
doing this thinking that maybe you're out of reach now?
28 mil. No, because I've got even more money.
Yeah, but if he purchased the better deal before the shop like turned around to the new shop, then
Yeah,
supposedly
maybe.
he's got more value for it, having started one season earlier and getting better benefits of the shop changes later.
We'll see. I don't know what the maths are on
Yeah,
now because he's
yeah.
had a better season. I think I worked out that I was a 29 point per game season, like up on him. On not, I was essentially had a like 500 or 600 point buffer from him at the same rate. But now that he's done a lot better this season, I don't know what it's going to be like. But
Yeah.
I'm confident. I've got a load of money. I've got 35.5 mil left, and find somebody to give me a supermax contract next year.
Unlikely. Well then.
Oh, that blows my mind.
Well, we're gonna keep up on this sort of a more close and personal track for our next topic, and we'll have more inside information by Kelsier on how the Oklahoma City Rampage is doing, seeing as they sort of at their two-star players of Ekström and Valano. I suppose, is that how you're supposed to pronounce Valano, or is it
Volano, yeah.
Yeah, Vaiano.
And
Vaiano, there you go.
and Van Rong as well. Van Rong's there.
I said
Yeah,
star players.
I consider
Star players.
I consider our core star players to be Van Rong, Marcus Ekstrom, and Zeth Volano. I consider that a trio, not a duo.
Well, for our purposes, since this is my program, I'm just gonna consider the two star players, Ekstrom and Vaiano.
Shots fired at Pingu.
Yeah,
Pingu.
this is continuation from last week. See, so how have you prepared for the? Well, what was your off-season preparation like from a team building standpoint, and also how you spent personally on your player, your TP? Since it looks like you're in for quite a bump in like assists and creation, but then again your scoring efficiency is down and steals are down, and its turnovers are well up with the.
And your TPE earning is down considering Pingu's always caught you up.
Well, so my TPE, I can address the TPE first. I think it was my first or second season. It was one of the first 2 seasons I had. It might have been my rookie season, was when we had that 8-win terrible season in OKC, and I didn't have anything. I had young LP, and I had myself, and team wasn't really going anywhere. I was actually really down on the SBA in general, and I missed like 2 weeks of full updates where I only got 6 instead of my 12. I dropped off my earning just for my own personal stuff. But now that I'm auto 12, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
So
How are you
my
auto
earning's
12?
not gonna. What?
Where's the 12 come from? Or is it just
Where's my auto
jobs
12
on?
come from? My auto 12 comes from everything that I do in the league,
Oh
all
yeah,
over
yeah.
the
So
place.
it's not the traditional auto 12 where you have one job that's worth 12, but it's 12. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like
Yeah,
jobs on
I'd say
jobs
it's
on
mine.
jobs.
Yeah, I'd say mine. So it's no longer that, because I did that once where it was 4 jobs at one time, and I was just auto 12 by virtue of my jobs. But now it's like I'm in SBO listed as auto 12, and it's not particularly because like Haz was the head grader, right, or the head updater, right? That was his auto 12. Mine's more of just general administrative stuff that I get my auto 12 for, because I do a lot of different things.
Yeah.
So, but now that I have that, my earnings not going to slow down at all. If anything, it's just going to be because I'm bad at the games and predictions that I'm going to get my TPE down.
Well, if you every Sunday evening, just by the deadline before you go close the games, just copy what you have, or what Pingu has. Then there's no way he can get any ground on you.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah,
Uh,
I'm gonna go copy Corns.
there you go. There you go.
Yeah,
So,
but it's
back to the original question of
yes.
our off-season preparations and our off-season building. We kind of had a couple routes that I wanted to go with in free agency this off-season.
Hmm.
We had the option of, can we bring in a couple players and make a big jump into like that top 10, top 8 kind of caliber team, or if we miss out on, I think it was the Shaka Banks JV4 train that was going around. If we miss out on them, what can we do? And we were looking at bringing in some players that would enable Magnus Ekstrom to pursue Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
And in typical general manager fashion, I had 5 or 6 different plans laid out, and none of them happened. So we ended up uh, pursuing a trade for Billy Banks, who now, after the prime of his career, he's settling down. He's getting ready to retire. Bobby's got his recreate in the SBDL right now on capping, and so I traded away uh, Land Striker, and I traded away our first round pick for 2 seasons from now because I don't anticipate it being a player at this pace. And if Billy brings in a lot of things that we were missing as far as utility. We were missing more defense because it was pretty much just Van Rong last year. Landstriker brought in some defense, but it wasn't quite enough to round us out. And I think what we're seeing this year is maybe a bit more balance of our stats. I thought Zeth's steals last season were a bit inflated because we didn't really have the defense spread out. Um, Zeth's assists, I don't know why they're so damn high, but I'm not going to complain about it. I just really, this season, the goal is obviously making the playoffs. I'm not sure where we're going to get into that race if we are, but that's kind of the goal. If I can get Ekstrom to be a top 10, top 5 scorer this season, I'd be ecstatic. But this season's just another season of growth for our young core with Zeth, Van Rong, and Ekstrom. Hopefully, they can continue to develop and grow together. And in a season or two, when we go after a big name free agent, they'll see what we have here and will be more enticed to come play with that because it's going to be a successful roster with or without that free agent.
Good. A great summary there. More informative than I guessed. Actually, are more open. Talk about how you went with your off season and off season plans in general. Danger didn't really have any off season plans since he just mentioned he hasn't done anything regarding the SBI for 3 weeks since he was already under. Well,
my off-season plans consisted of Den's going, "We're going to trade you," and I went, "Sure," and then I got traded.
Sometimes it's just easy as
well, he
that.
said he was going to trade me to the Wild, so I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he said he was trying to get some value back, and I went, "There's no way you're getting." I said, "There's no way you're getting any value back."
Especially considering you were on a max contract, so that team has to give up their max slot for you.
Yeah, but luckily Washington had nobody they could even put on a max. So Washington is the oldest team. Like, it's probably the oldest team we've ever seen in the SBA.
Is it that bad? I know you guys are
It's
old, but
it's year 11, year 10, year 10, year 7, and year 5.
Yeah, it's
like,
Oh, and another year 10. There's Casey Tam, who's
it's
inactive.
it's comparative to the Atlanta Vipers teams when they were tanking just recently with all the lowest AP players possible, like Dale Williams and 266 AP and so forth. It's like just in line with that, although they were all inactive, whereas here, at least Danger, Judas, and Tomato are all active.
Yeah, we got the Hydra reunion, except probably not gonna win the title or MVP. So,
Don't think it's gonna win
Oh, you.
much at all.
I don't think it's gonna win very much at all.
Yeah.
hey, we're actually surprisingly, we're actually not doing so bad.
Yeah,
We're
but that's
I mean,
the
you guys aren't gonna. You guys aren't gonna be like the bottom with the tanking teams.
No. I think in every game that we've won is required Barry to score like 50 points. Who do we even beat? I don't know how teams
Montreal.
are. We beat the Corsairs,
You just beat
Boston,
Montreal then
Philly,
the other day.
Rush twice, and Montreal.
Montreal game was something like 160 to 160. It's like, yeah, 57
Yeah,
points by
so
Beremy.
yeah, we
one.
haven't beaten anyone good.
Eh,
The highest we've beaten the Corsairs, and they don't
yeah,
count.
they're quite alright.
Corsairs.
Oh no, they're not quite alright anymore.
No, they're
Oh
not.
yeah, I forgot. I
They're not.
forgot.
They're not what they were last season.
Yeah, I forgot something happened in the offseason. While we're talking about off-season plans and what was available in the off-season, I also had myself like 11 different filled out options with clear instructions on how to approach everything. Of course, a lot of it when there's players moving in and out. Excuse me for a second. Yeah, with players moving in and out, there's a lot of teams I need to rely on, and general managers I need to convince to deal with me as well, which made things a lot more difficult than I thought. No one's willing to give much of a fair value, and no one's willing to, like, even if they're held up against the wall, it's still difficult to convince them to, if you want to go ahead, then you need to do something here, which is alright.
People don't like trades.
Yeah, and I think by
Yeah,
trades it's much easier to acquire players than by free agency, since out of the 21 options to sign in free agency, let's see who the Pittsburgh Ironmen signed. One in 21st position, so last out of the options, which was Xavier May Jones, and then also signed someone out of the list completely with Andrew Wall Jr., who's inactive. So that was no good in general. And
But
then yes,
you could have signed Barry. You have your max contracts.
no, I didn't want to trade. That's the difference. And by the time I was trading with Philadelphia, you were already traded, so I couldn't have done anything about it anyways. But yeah, with what there were like two main goals for the Pittsburgh off season, which were signing the reigning playoffs MVP Edward Craven Walker, who I of course know very well, but with the two championships and one finals MVP, it seems like my friend MG was still kind of arrogantly thirsty for more success and wanted to go to a bona fide winning team, and also
that
didn't.
was also.
Yeah.
That was my experience with talking with ECW as well. we Oklahoma, obviously we pursued him as well. He's a top free agent, and that was pretty much the same word that I got from him. Is he's still very much so wants to win more titles, very much so wants to contend more.
Oh, and you went to the Jokers.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it's difficult to, like, from my perspective, there were some opinions I sent out, like some of these free agency choices reek of Harklewood to Philadelphia, like very questionable decisions to do with with your player in your prime. This wasn't towards Craven Walker, but some of the other choices actually, since my main hopes for a team would have been with Cassandra Frost, then Craven Walker, then Dallas Brooker, then what's him called? Care Gist, so KG, and then Harris, and then I think that left me with 1.5 million in space for a 6-man, which is all right. So that wasn't suitable for DB, it seems. Let's just take a look where DB settled into with Toronto, is it? So they have Adekoya, Virgin Tall, Luciano Rossi, who also was on my radar, and then Taylor. So it's just like previous season's team without Congo, basically.
Yeah,
more or less.
basically.
So yeah, go ahead if you like that. I'm not gonna be angry, but I'm just gonna disagree about the championship equity those guys have. But obviously, I've been proven wrong numerous times. Then also, I have the golden egg opportunity with the Los Angeles Rush unprotected first rounder that the Pittsburgh Ironmen hold. Whereas
that's nice.
If
That's a very nice pick.
If I could have gotten Cocoa Creek, well, actually, let's say if I could have gotten Isaac Cannon or Sean Harris traded for what I considered fair value, then I could have received Cocoa Creek for basically Draymond Lillard, since I was always going to trade Beast Takeover because I sort of had promised to him that he was able to start beginning his season 57. I don't want. Yeah.
Why have the Rush not traded Cocoa Creek?
No one's
That's a bit of a.
no one really has any space to take him any longer.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was a lot of shop offered on Cocoa Creek. I think they really were trying to move Cocoa Creek. I don't think anyone was biting though.
Yeah,
I suppose he's not still for like a 1-year rental.
Yeah, but I could have
Yeah.
used a 1-year rental, but then I had nowhere to send really either Harris or Cannon, because at the time, by the time like Friday, when I needed to divert cores, everybody had started signing inactive players in the range of 700 AP instead of returning to trade talks, which was kind of disappointing because obviously you'd like, say, Isaac Cannon or Keshawn Harris much better than 700 AP inactive, but it is what it is then, because I worked a lot with a lot of private messages to almost every GM in the league, but yes, I should have worked harder on that and then keep everyone like updated every day or even every 12 hours. But yeah, since I didn't then have space to take in Creek, the golden egg opportunity here, of course, if someone's listening and doesn't recognize it, is that the Los Angeles Rush are already quite bad with a talent like Cocoa Creek. So if I would have traded Lillard to Creek, they would have had no players above 730 AP, and they would have been almost definitely headed for one or the highest or second highest lottery odds. So that was a shame in the end.
So we, what was that question for?
Does it matter?
I mean, I thought Oka had some topics. I don't know if that was the
That was
topics.
that was a good that was good. I've got an electric kettle and I'm American.
Yeah, but like a tin kettle. That's a very stereotypical British thing. All right, we're back with the water no longer heating up. So yeah, with that, we're just gonna get a quick little read on our fifth topic here. I was originally going to do something that you guys can figure out to ask me, but since we already did that small little part there where I told about Pittsburgh's off season, where I'm gonna think of something while I'm talking about this, thinking of something here in the meanwhile. All right. Who do you guys have? You guys seen the what's it called? Some time ago there was an SBA Network thing by, is it Nepto, predicting the season 59 all SBA first team. I'm just gonna link it to the Discord here. This is a little bit of a fun exercise, I think, just to get a look on what Nepto thinks, and then if we have any disagreements between us there. So the predicted SBA, all SBA first team of season 59, so 2 seasons from now, is Cassandra Frost at point guard. Already Cassandra has some predictions going her way in the season 57 all SBA voting, which really bodes well for season 59, I'd assume. And then as shooting guard, it's Virgin Tall, who never struck me as a all SBA contender in any form or fashion, but and I don't think has played shooting guard much at all in his career. Let's just take a look to confirm. Yeah, some. And then at small forward is Charlotte Aviators current and reigning small forward of the year, Jack Robinson. Also, with his previous winning of the small forward of the year award, should be in a front runner for this imaginary season. Well, not imaginary, but predictive season 59 All SBA first team. And then there's in the front court Morgrim Shadow Shield and Grant Thompson, who I already picked for possible most valuable player this season. So yeah, if you guys have seen the article here, Danger and Kelsier, what did you think of it, and do you have any sort of honorable mentions or dark horses to put a wrench in the works?
Danger, you want
I
to go
think
first?
I think the front court positions are pretty locked up. Like Grant Thompson and Shadow Shield are just so far ahead of their class that it's going to be very hard for anyone to like compete with that.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Garrus Vakarian is probably the one that could give them a run for their money. That's a Dollar and a Dreams player. Of course, he was long-time teammates with Sakatra in
Yeah.
Vegas. I think at the guard positions we could see Dallas Brooker make his way in.
And
Dallas Brooker and Witherspoon
yeah,
are probably the two that would make a run.
I had Witherspoon in my.
But small forward, I think Jack Robinson's probably like quite far ahead of anyone else playing at small forward. We don't tend to get too many small forwards in the league right now, it feels like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Robinson is definitely a step ahead of anyone else at small forward for that award.
Yeah, I expect eventually Tall will again play small forward because his player build is it's suited to both, but then it's typically if your best player is a shooting guard slash small forward, I suppose it's been very effective in the past to put the player to play small forward. Same if it is small forward slash power forward, and you have a good option for power forward. Since then, you can kind of bump up the most meaningless and less included player on the court to actually be your star man instead. Because in the general run of things, if you have four even in TPE sort of same sort of scoring profile and defensive profile players, I think the small forward is typically the least involved ever because it's between the backcourt and the front court in the game engine. At least seems to me that way. But with players in the past like Rashid Ryder for a bit and Jack Robinson now, if they're your best player and they play small forward, they definitely elevate the lineup by doing everything. Like in Robinson's case, defense, playmaking, and scoring. So I think with Tall, eventually Tall is going to play small forward. So this is just my assumptions that the small forward competition is going to be between Robinson and Tall instead of Tall being a clear frontrunner for shooting guard. And I think eventually Witherspoon, or even would it be Brooker or Etienne or even De Silva Taylor if something weird goes on in Atlanta or
Yeah,
wherever.
I would think PDT would probably be a dark horse for that race.
Yes. But did you have any deeper thoughts on the predictions, Kelsier, here on the season 59?
I think I think really that shooting guard pick is really the only one that's kind of questionable because like we've listed, well, that and small forward. There's too much time between now and then to really cement either one of those players as that award. Cassandra Frost, I think, is just far and away the best point guard for the future. I wouldn't be surprised if she overcomes even what Shaka Banks just recently did with his run of awards.
Yes, indeed. And yeah, at the specified point of season 59, uh, both Cassandra and the Silva Taylor are still going to be well in their prime. So depending on positional movement and whatnot, there could be a lot different actually in this predicted team. But with Shadow Shield and Thompson seeming like they're on course for their respective spots.
But overall, I'd say it's a pretty accurate prediction.
Yeah.
These are definitely who we'd consider the favourites for each award.
Yeah, I would say
you
so.
never know. You never know what can happen.
And I'll say outright that I remember when I first read that article, my first thought was, oh, my own player isn't up there for instead of Cassandra, and then I remembered what my build plan is, and no, Zeth is not going to be contending for that.
Well, too bad for you. What do we have in store next week, Danger?
Next week we're going to try and do a little format where we'll ask like 2 questions about the SBA to a member that comes in, and 2 questions about like their real life, and so we can try and get to know some of the people in the SBA, get to know people behind the usernames that you see around the site. That's the general idea.
Yeah, and we'll be fair that if you don't want to go too much in depth or don't want to actually give specifics about your personal life, we can talk it out beforehand if you're willing to still come on and see what sort of questions we can do. And yeah, just to add it up to 5 of the week, we'll just do a joker or something at the end. So it'll be 5 instead of 4 of the week. But yeah, with all that done, I think we're well above our specified time limits of 15 minutes per user. And Kelsier doesn't need our GDTP. So we're going to sign off with thanks by Danger Golding.
Yeah, thank you very much for tuning in. If you're watching this on either Twitch or Oko's upload, send us some messages on if you want to be included.
And our special guest this week, the Oklahoma City General Manager.
Thank you guys for having me. It was very pleasant to talk with you guys.
All right. Well, see you again next week. Don't know which day it's gonna be, but it'll be next week because I need the TP. So yeah, but